Today I've got for you 3 tofu recipes that no one will be able to resist. I used to eat meat, but now these kind of recipes make eating plant-based so easy. If you're new here, my name is George. I've been a chef for 10 years and I post a new cooking video every Wednesday and Sunday, so be sure to stick around and let's get cooking. First up is these fragrant Thai-inspired tofu balls with a delicious sweet glaze. They're completely irresistible. For these tofu balls, we're going to start by crumbling extra firm tofu into a large bowl. We don't want any large chunks which are going to cause the tofu balls to crumble apart once cooked. You could use regular firm tofu, but you may need to add more flour to the recipe later on. And then this is the sort of texture that we're looking for. The first ingredient going in is tapioca starch. This is going to help bind the balls and stop them from crumbling. It's going to help retain moisture in the tofu balls and also provide a firmer texture. Then we'll add 1 grated carrot. This will add a bit more moisture, some texture, and of course a bit more extra nutrients. I'm going to leave the skin on, which is where a lot of the nutrients is hiding. Next, some fresh coriander, and we're just going to finely chop it. If you don't like coriander, some Thai basil or just regular basil would be really nice. You could also use some chives, that could work well. Then some finely chopped onion. I'm going to be using red here, but you could use shallots or spring onions would be nice as well. We're going to add the zest and juice of this lime. It's going to really brighten up these tofu balls, make them really nice and fragrant. I always give my citrus fruit a quick roll just to help release the juice from inside. Next, I'm going to zest in some fresh ginger. Tofu is of course quite bland, so we're going to add lots of really lovely flavors into these tofu balls, and they're going to be little flavor bombs. Zesting the ginger makes it really nice and fiery. And then we're going to make use of the zester one more time and zest in a couple cloves of garlic. Now we're going to cheat a little bit and we're going to add a tablespoon of a pre-made Thai green curry paste. This has ingredients in which aren't always easy to get your hands on, such as lemongrass, galangal and lime leaves. So I think it's fine to use when you can't get the real deal. Next up, a tablespoon of light soy sauce for that lovely salty umami flavor. Then oat flour, this is going to help bind the tofu balls. Also going to add a ½ teaspoon of baking powder to make them really nice and light. Of course, a good grating of black pepper. I won't add any salt for now as we've got the soy sauce in there, but I'll give the mix a taste and then we can adjust the seasoning. And then get your hands in there and give it all a good mix up. The smells coming from this already are just amazing, really nice and fragrant. We've added a lot of flavorings in here, so we want to be really nice and thorough with the mixing. Make sure it's nicely distributed through the mix. And then once mixed, it'll come together into a nice big ball. It's slightly sticky, but not so much that it's like really sticking to your hands. One of the most important parts of cooking is to taste as you go along. So we're gonna give this a quick try. The great thing about cooking with plants is that you can taste this before it's cooked, whereas with something like chicken or pork, you'd have to cook it and then try it, and it's just a much longer process. That is really nice. I mean, I could just eat it like that. I think it needs a touch more salt, so I might add some more soy sauce, and I think some ground coriander and maybe even some ground cumin as well could be good. So I'm just gonna go in with a teaspoon of soy sauce, finish off this bottle, and then a ½ teaspoon of ground cumin. And then I'm actually going for a whole teaspoon of ground coriander. I love the floral sort of citrusy flavor you get from it. And I'll just quickly mix that up again. If you wanted to add some fresh chili to this, that would be really nice as well. So now we can roll these out. I'm going to put them straight onto this crisper basket, ready to go into the air fryer. I'll provide instructions in case you want to bake them or fry them in a pan. As always, I've got a small bowl of water here so I can dip my fingers into it, and that's going to stop the mix from sticking to my hands. And then final touch, I'm just going to give them a light brushing of oil just to help get them really nice and golden in the air fryer. This is totally optional, you can do it without any oil. Just be sure to make sure there's space in between each tofu ball so that they cook nice and evenly. Mighty towel. And there you have the most delicious golden tofu balls. You may notice a couple are missing and I can't think what possibly could have happened there. What I love about this recipe is they have a sort of bounce to them, they're slightly chewy almost, really delicious. That's the tapioca flour and the tofu providing that. For the glaze, we're going to start with some light soy sauce, about a couple of tablespoons. Then rice vinegar, about 1 tablespoon. toasted sesame oil for that lovely nutty flavor. About 1 tablespoon of ketchup to give the glaze a little bit of body. This is optional, but you can add a little bit of sriracha or whatever it's called. And then maple syrup to make it lovely and sticky and delicious. I will add some corn flour as well, just to help it thicken and really coat those tofu balls. I will just add some water so it's not too thick, and then give it a whisk. And then add your glaze to a pan. Oh, nearly dropped the bowl. That was close. And then just bring that to a simmer so that it thickens nicely and cooks out the corn flour. That is lovely and thick and glossy. You don't want to reduce it too much or else it's going to get really salty. And then you can add in your tofu balls and just stir them in and get them really nice and coated in that sauce. And we'll finish them with a little sprinkle of fresh coriander. Wow, so good. These tofu balls are absolutely packed with flavor, lots of aromatic flavor coming from the garlic, the ginger, the lemongrass, and then you've got that really nice sweet and sticky glaze around the outside. Super delicious. These have got a lovely texture as well, slightly chewy from the tofu and the tapioca starch, and then you get more texture from the red onion and the carrot. Really nice. Next up is these sticky barbecue tofu buns, perfect for a naughty lunch with friends or on your own, no one's judging here. Before we start the barbecue tofu, I'm gonna make some quick pickled red onions. First, we'll just thinly slice the red onion, and to them we're going to add some lemon juice, apple cider vinegar, sumac, which has a lovely fruity, tart, and citrusy flavor, then a good pinch of salt, and a little pinch of sugar as well. And then just mix that through and we'll let it marinate and pickle while we make the barbecue tofu. That'll add a really sharp and fresh contrast to the sticky and sweet barbecue tofu. For the barbecue tofu, it is really simple. We're just going to add all the ingredients into a pan, starting with a can of chopped tomatoes. And instead of the usual molasses or dark sugar used to sweeten barbecue sauce, we're going to be using some dates. I'm using medjool dates, but you can definitely just use some regular dates. Then for that lovely smoky flavor, I'm going to add some smoked paprika. This is a sweet one, but you could use a spicy variety if you like. Then for even more smokiness, a touch of liquid smoke. I'm also adding 1 clove. This is quite a punchy spice, so we don't need to add too much. And soy sauce for that lovely rich umami flavor, and just to generally season the barbecue sauce. Apple cider vinegar for that lovely tang and a bit of freshness. I'm actually going to do half apple cider vinegar and half balsamic vinegar. Balsamic vinegar being a bit more tangy and sweet. Granulated garlic, you could use fresh if you like. And I've just washed out the can of chopped tomatoes with about 50 ml of water. Good grating of black pepper. I won't add the salt quite yet. We'll give it a taste first, as we've got the soy sauce in there. And then just pop that on the stove and bring it to a simmer. And I'd recommend putting a lid on unless you want your kitchen painted red. So that's bubbling away nicely. I'm going to turn down the heat and let it cook for about 8 to 10 minutes. While the barbecue sauce is cooking, we're going to coarsely grate the tofu. So as well as using the coarse side of the grater, you want to push quite hard and do sort of long streaks across the grater. And that's going to give you these really nice long bits of tofu, similar to if you're doing barbecue pulled pork. That's been simmering away nicely and it smells absolutely delicious. So I'm just going to add it into the blender. Leave it to cool down though if your blender isn't a heat-proof one, or heat safe I should say. Now we've got our barbecue sauce, we're going to add half to the shredded tofu. The other half I'll add back into the pan to use later, and then just mix that sauce through the tofu. I'm now going to add a little drizzle of oil to the air fryer, followed by the grated tofu. Spread that out into an even layer, add another little drizzle of olive oil on top, and we'll air fry that until sticky and caramelized. Now all that's left to do is to heat up your barbecue sauce, add back in your shredded tofu, and get it really nice and coated in that sauce. And then load up your buns, toasted of course, very important. I'm going to start with a little bit of hummus. This is a roasted leek hummus I made the other day. Then the barbecue tofu, get a nice layer of that in there. It's gonna be messy. A few of those vibrant pickled red onions. I don't have any lettuce or anything, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of fresh coriander to finish. And there you go. Okay, wish me luck, I'm going in. I'm not sure I can do this with one hand, but we're gonna give it a go. It was always going to be messy. You definitely want to have some knife and fork and a napkin on standby if you're going to eat it in a bun like that, but it is totally worth it. It's sweet, it's sticky, it's smoky, and then you get those lovely, fresh, tangy, pickled red onions. Really, really delicious. You could also serve it in rice bowls, tacos, or in wraps. It doesn't just belong in a burger bun. Finally, we've got this popcorn chicken, which is crunchy and Moorish. You won't be able to resist it. Plus, I've got a couple of tricks for getting loads of flavor into this tofu. Whenever I'm going for crispy tofu, I always like to tear it into chunks. This is going to give you more surface area to get crispy. It's also going to give you this sort of rough edge on the tofu with little bits that go extra golden brown. So I'm actually tearing this into a pan because we're going to simmer it with some lovely seasonings, which is just going to infuse it with lots of flavor before we crisp it up in the air fryer. And I'm just going for sort of mouth-sized pieces, which is kind of a strange way to say it because everyone has different sized mouths, but you know what I mean. And then we'll add our aromatics. I've got some fresh rosemary here. I'm just gonna break it up into smaller pieces. That's gonna go in. And I've got half a small onion just cut in half, in that goes. A really tiny bay leaf, but I thought I might as well use it up. A few crushed garlic cloves and a little bit of dried sage. Also going in with about half a lemon. Just gonna squeeze that in and just add in the skin as well. Also going to add just a little dash of soy sauce, and I'm gonna crumble in half a veggie stock cube. And then I've just poured in some boiling water. The camera wasn't filming, of course, but we're just gonna bring this to a simmer now. The smell coming from this pan is just amazing. I'm really getting the lemon and rosemary, absolutely delicious. This is a really nice way to start your tofu, getting lots of flavor infused into it. Always a good idea using a lid when trying to bring something to a simmer. It's just so much quicker, so you use less gas or electricity. That's come to a simmer. I'll turn the heat down now and we'll just let it cook for around 10, maybe 15 minutes. Okay, that has finished simmering, so we're just going to strain it off. Definitely keep that liquid though. You can make an amazing soup with it. It is beautifully seasoned. So I'm just gonna remove the aromatics like the onion and the garlic and the bay leaf, and we'll just let this steam dry for about 5 to 10 minutes. And I'm getting a lovely steam facial here. Smells delicious. I'm gonna make a quick dipping sauce for the popcorn tofu, which is going to start with 3 tablespoons of vegan yogurt. Then a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. I've got whole grain, but you can use regular, that'll work as well. This is going to be a maple Dijon dressing, so of course we're going to add in some maple syrup, then some lemon juice, and of course some salt and pepper. And then just mix that up. We're now going to add the tofu back into the pan that we cooked it in. We're now adding a selection of even more seasonings from thyme to paprika, granulated garlic, sage, oregano, a touch of ginger, and that is going to just amp up the flavor of this tofu. It already tastes really good just from the simmering. Then a dusting of arrowroot powder or a starch of your choice. You could use corn flour or potato starch. Also going to add some cheesy, nutty, nutritional yeast. And then pop the lid back on, give it a good shake so it all gets coated in the seasonings and the arrowroot powder. Then I'm going to add in even more lemon juice, give it that lovely, nice, fresh tang, and a drizzle of olive oil. Then the lid goes back on, and give it another good shake. And that is ready for the air fryer now. Just make sure you're spacing them out nice and evenly so they all get lovely and crispy. And then into the air fryer to crisp up. So you may notice a few of these are missing and it wasn't poppy. My girlfriend found them and she absolutely loved them. So yeah, let's give it a try. Dip it in the Dijon maple sauce. Oh, that's good. That is damn good. Really crunchy on the outside, lots of seasoning, and then you've got that sweet, slightly spicy mustard maple dressing. absolutely delicious. Perfect for a little snack in front of the TV or, well, any time of the day really. Thank you so much for watching. For 3 more delicious tofu recipes, check out this video.